everybody. How are you guys doing on today? I am super duper excited because Elizabeth Gardner is hanging out with us on today, guys, and she has a new one hot off the press when silence breaks. I am super duper excited about it that she's coming to spill a little bit of tea. And as we always see here at the cafe, she may spill a little tea, she may spill a lot, but I can guarantee you there will be some tea spilled on today. And of course, my friends, if you have not done so already, like, tag, and share. Tell a friend to tell a friend to come on down to the cafe because Miss Elizabeth Garden, I hope I'm saying your last name right. She is coming to hang out with us on today. And Elizabeth, I always allow you, my friend, the opportunity to introduce yourself to the people.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for selecting my book and inviting me to come on the show. And I really appreciate that. I am Elizabeth Goddard. And I, excuse me, I live in the Pacific Northwest, which is where I set many of my books. I write romantic suspense for Revell, part of Baker Publishing Group. And I also write for Love Inspire Suspense. And excuse me, I've been writing for, I don't know, about 20 years. I have about 65 books. In fact, this new book out is 66. So
yes, I love that. I love that. And Elizabeth, we have to talk about that cover since you held it up. Okay. I am a cover nerd. Not only am I a book nerd, but I love a good cover. Can you share with us what was that like for you when you saw your final cover for When the Silence Breaks?
Well, it was, you're always full of anticipation. What's the cover? So it's such an important part of the process. And to me, a cover is as important as the content. I can write what I hope is a great story, but if the cover is not going to grab a reader's attention and they don't look at it or pick it up, then what's it all for? So anyway, I'll hold it up again. Yes, I was just like, oh, I just love this cover. I think it might be one of my favorites. Revell does such a fantastic job with all their covers. And so it's just such an exciting thing. And I think that this model, to me, she looks like Agent Carter, which is Captain America's, the sidekick, the female lead. And she's also in the new Mission Impossible movies, the last two, and I don't know, she looked just like her, and I'm like, yes, that is exactly my character. So I was
about the cover. That now, of course, Elizabeth, you have to spill some tea about this title because, correct me, this is the first book in a new series for you. Is that correct? And yes, so, with that being said, tell us a little bit about the title, When the Silence Breaks. Was that your original working title or did it come a little later?
I'm trying to remember. Titles, they can be so hard to come by, to figure out what's good for a book because there's so many titles and you don't want to repeat titles and so many other authors coming out with books. And a lot of my titles have been 2-word titles like Deadly Target or Present Danger or Critical Alliance or just, 2 words. But The Missing Alaska, I'm thinking about it, was Cold Light of Day. So that was more words. I'm rambling through because I'm figuring it out. So with this, though, I wanted something, that was just really very deep. And I sent, probably 5 sets of titles to my publisher. And some of them were like 2 words, really. So it really depended on the mood. What mood are we going with for the titles? And they selected When the Silence Breaks, and then book 2 is Where the Shadows Begin, and book 3 is Where the Fault Lies. And it just all 3, we did it at the beginning. We selected all 3 book titles, and usually we don't. For me, anyway, we don't do that. We usually kind of wait till each book, and we kind of select because they all just work so well together for the whole series. And
now, Elizabeth, so you're spilling tea and probably don't even realize it. That is neat.
Yeah, and then. I'm trying to think, we just kind of think of the story as a whole of what is happening. And there's a big secret that has to be discovered. And so what happens when that secret is discovered and, the news gets out. And so it just seemed like the right title to go with. And then, of course, once I have a title, as I'm writing and editing, I can lean more into it. You know what I'm saying? I can lean into it as a theme. It's just part of the whole package of massaging a book, getting all the pieces and the themes right and strengthening places that maybe were weak before. And so the title is part of what helps me to do that.
Wow, I love that. Now, let's lean into that a little bit because, again, this is a new series,
Mhm.
book one in a new series for you. Can you give us a little bit of the backstory, like what inspired it, and for you to say, you know what, I have to write this?
I'm always looking for new ideas, and I wouldn't say that I'm just actively like, oh, where's an idea today, but it's just you keep your senses open, and if something catches my attention, then I'm like, that looks pretty good. So I was reading a regional catalog for the Pacific Northwest, and Mission Ridge Ski Resort. Was an article about it, and it's called Coastal Washington, but there's an article about the ski resort called Mission Ridge. And so I started reading about it, and the history behind the resort had to do with a World War II plane that crashed in the Cascades. And so they have part of that wing there at the resort. It's considered lucky. And, there's just a lot of lore behind it. But I just, that caught my attention because that's not something you hear about very often.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, so I just felt like that was a seed of a story. And so I
Yeah.
put it on my list. I have the list of story ideas or seeds that I could use for a next series in Revell. And I just started asking, what if that plane crashed in the mountains? It was never found, and it was thought to be lost. And what if it's carrying a very deadly payload? And, just started building on that. And I love the historical aspect of it because years ago when I was pitching at conferences, I was actually pitching to write historical novels. But
Really?
God opened the doors in romantic suspense, and I couldn't be happier because I really thrive there. I love writing them, but it's kind of fun to bring in some history, a little bit of history there, and so I delve into a lot of history within the story. So I have a lot of readers that have commented how much they love that aspect of it.
Yes, and I love historical fiction too. So it was really nice that even though this is romantic suspense, it did have some historical elements in there too. So thank you for doing that for us. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Which leads me into my next question because, as I just mentioned, I am a romantic suspense girly. I love a good romantic suspense, and it's almost like you get the best of both worlds or what have you. But for you, tell us, what is it about romantic suspense that Elizabeth enjoyed?
Well, I think you answered that question because you get the best of both worlds. I love, let's say I love a good romance, but at the end of the day, I'm always reading or really gravitate to the books that are always about the suspense and the intrigue. And I don't enjoy those books that don't have a little bit of romance because there's got to be the leading character. There's got to be the leading man. And so I grew up reading Gothic romances, like from Victoria Holt and Phyllis Whitney. And, they're just romantic suspense. I think they kind of laid the foundation for me to just continue reading the action and adventure and the intrigue and the mystery. And romantic suspense can include a lot of different mix of a little bit of mystery, and intrigue. And it can even be historical. There could be historical romantic suspense, not just contemporary. So
That's true.
And I when I was in my 20s, I was really started reading Christian fiction with Bodhi Taney. I think that's how you pronounce her name, but it was the Zion Chronicles, the Zion Covenant series, and it was all World War II historicals, but they were very much romantic suspense, very much just keeping you on your toes, on the edge of your seat. Are they going to make it? And the fact that they're working together, the hero and the heroine, it makes it fun. So I just love it.
And one of the things, this was something that was, in the book that caught my attention. I totally enjoyed the realness of the characters. And there's this one scene, and of course, she is at his home, and he offers her Sprite or Dr. Pepper. And I was like, okay, Sprite or Dr. Pepper. I love it. Now, one of the things too about these two characters, guys, for Ryder's character, for you, how was it with the banter? Because even with theirs, there is some unspoken, like Ryder has this look that she had just learned to, that is him communicating.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that. It was like the nonverbal, but it was very much communicating. And
I'm
her
just
word was
drawing from real
sure.
life.
She would say
Yeah.
sure a lot, and he was like, okay, okay, this is what we're doing. That's her
Right,
answer.
right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just drawing from real life. This is how we communicate with each other. And sometimes we don't even have to say the words. But
Mhm.
like I know what my husband's words are, and I know when he's not talking what he means and what he's saying. So I just drew from real life, my kids and the fun things that we say, or everybody's got their habit or their thing they say or their little quirk, and
Yeah.
I enjoyed infusing my characters with that. And it just, to me, that's when they start coming alive, whenever they can pick up on each other's tales, and just and she can know what he's thinking when he's not even telling her, that kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah. Now let's go there a little bit. Let's talk about some of the characters in this story, and we can actually start it with Cascade because that in itself was like a character and the atmosphere and all of that. Was that intentional for you? And tell us a little bit about writing that.
yeah, I have a lot of readers that tell me that usually the setting becomes like a character, and I really think maybe it's a little bit intentional, maybe it's just instinctual, because I that's what inspires me to write stories is the setting. And I knew I wanted to set
Really?
something in the Cascades. Oh yeah, all my books are just very setting intensive, and so because it's God's creation, and I just want to portray that. We can't,
Yeah,
when you look at a photograph, or you go to the mountains or whatever, you take a photograph, and you just cannot, that picture is just not going to portray the majestic, how majestic it is. And so, I mean, I'm sure I can't do that in my novels, but I try. I try to be immersive, so readers can feel like they are in the environment. So
yeah,
yes, it plays a
yeah.
huge role. So that's probably what you're feeling.
Yes, yes. Now, of course, tell us a little bit about Sarah's character. If you had to describe her to us on tonight, what would you say about her?
I would say she's driven.
Oh,
She's
yes.
driven. She's on a mission,
She is
and
on a mission.
nothing's going to get in her way. And I kind of feel like that sometimes too. When you have something you have to do, you're just going to do it. You're just
Yeah,
going to pull up your pants, and no matter what's happening, just march your way through whatever's standing in your way. So I feel like she's very driven and determined, and yet very compassionate and
yeah,
concerned, for the
yeah.
people in her lives.
Yeah. And Ryder on the other end, on the flip side, what would you tell individuals about him?
Well, he is a hero.
Oh,
he's
yes.
he's protective, and I loved my editor said, when the first chapter I read him, and I just knew he was a hero. He's just very much a hero, and he's very protective, and I mean, he's like on the page the first chapter, and
Yes.
I mean, to me, I'm like, yeah, this guy, I got him right the first time around, instead of having to rewrite him and think, he's not, he was just there. He came alive for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, one of the things that I enjoyed about this book is um the shadows, because there is indeed someone following them, but how that person is kind of like in the shadows. Tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about that, if you can just spill a little bit of tea, because we can't give them too much or what have you. But what can you tell us about that character? I get, if we can kind of call it the shadow.
The shadow
Because
knows. It's
because
my
that's
mom. She said,
it.
the shadow
It was like,
knows.
and you made it very like on the page and present, but it was like, where they had these instincts, like, okay, there is definitely someone out there in the shadows, following us, and the different things that they had to do, or what have you. But tell us a little bit about that in writing that particular. I don't even know if I want to call him a character, but
Well, I mean, it ends up being a character, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
well, it's just a character. I don't even know what do I say about that? I feel like it is just part of what I try to do in all my books with the intrigue. You've got to bring in that sense of somebody's watching, somebody's
Yeah,
following,
yeah,
and even if I, as the writer, don't know who it is yet, they've got to be there from the beginning. So, the
yeah.
shadow, and it just kind of starts, as the story progresses, the light starts to shine in the shadows, and we begin to see
Yes, yeah.
who's in the shadows.
Like the way that you wrote it, there is kind of the word that you use, there is like that intrigue, like, even at the beginning when she's like driving and it's like, okay, is it just me or is somebody, I feel this hovering that there is someone watching me, or what have you too.
Yes.
Now, Elizabeth, think about the characters. Some we may have spoken of already. And look, before I ask you this question, we have to talk about Ryder's mom.
Oh yeah. I knew you were going to talk about her because I'm hearing a lot about her.
What do you want to share? I mean, you have to love her.
Yeah, she showed up. I hadn't planned her. She's just one of those people that showed up, and I just pictured this woman, and I'm from Texas, and I just kind of decided, oh, I just want to pour a lot of Texas hospitality into her, and she just had, came alive as a character, had a life of her own, and stepped on the page and says, "You got to write me in here." And so, it just seemed so natural that she would become kind of a matchmaking kind of mom, for all of her kids, and she's like that for all 3 books actually. But yeah, I loved writing her, and she just came so natural. And she's also a Dr. Pepper woman because she's from Texas.
Love that. Now, okay, now Elizabeth, we have to go here a little bit because you said that. So tell me a little bit about that, because it sounds like you listen to your characters, because it sounds like she may be one of those characters that perhaps surprised you the way that she showed up on the page. Like, okay, I'm here. I am showing up this way. Does that happen a lot? That sometimes there is a character that say, no, Elizabeth, we're going to go this way.
Yeah, it happens. And sometimes I do have to redirect, but I loved her as soon as she came to life. And I'm like, okay, you get to stay because you're going to be part of this town. And I want to make sure that I have interesting characters in the town. And I did add a character, Maisie Trent, that is actually somebody that's from real life, or my son was telling me about. He took some shooting classes, and she was this little tiny, probably 4-foot lady, I don't know, maybe 70s, but she was a powerhouse, and she came out with this big giant book of all of her certificates of her gun classes and everything. She knows her weapons and she knows everything. And so just, teaching people how to protect themselves. And so it just was out of character. It just seemed like this isn't what he was expecting at all. I'm like, oh, she's going in a book. So, so I had to put her in as she's just a tough as nails kind of person. And she fits perfect in Mercy Ridge.
Wow. Now, Elizabeth, we have to talk about this a little bit, okay? Because I'm a small town girly. I love small towns and books, and there is a small town undercurrent in this book. And so for you, it's almost like there's this quiet pulse in this mountain town or what have you. But what inspired the tone of that community for you and the secrets that it holds?
Well, there's a lot of different things, and I'm a small town girl as well, and I love small towns. But I kind of looked at Leavenworth, Washington, which is kind of a small town, and the way I described Mercy Ridge for my example, and it has a lot of tourists coming, and they have a lot of Christmas things going, Christmas lights, and it's just a very touristy, cute little town in the middle of the mountains, and it's close to the Cascades as well. So, but I just kind of created my own town, named it what I wanted to name it, and made it what I needed to make it.
I love that. Now, I want to ask you this. We're kind of still talking about these characters. Is there a character for you that was interesting, borderline fun for Elizabeth to write? But on the flip side, was there a character that was a little more complex for you to write? So kind of a 2-part question there, Elizabeth.
Yeah. I think Sarah was probably the one that was complex because of her background. Yeah, that was my thought. Do you have a different character you thought was?
No, I did. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. Tell me more.
Well, I can't tell you more because it's a secret.
Right.
You have to.
Well, you know what? I now that you said what you said about it, a secret, I can see why her character was a little more complex for you. That when you said that line, I'm like, you know what? Okay, I can see why her character is a little more complex or what have you. And speaking of her character being a little more complex, with her, family is so important, and protecting her family and being there for her family, or what have you, too. Can you share a little bit about that part of the story and that family element in there? Because that was one of her drive, to find out the and dig a little deeper because of her family.
Right. Well, she lost, obviously, she lost almost everyone in her family. So I think that sometimes we do even take family for granted,
Mhm.
and then she'd lost almost everyone, and she just had her sister in law and Jeremy left. And so, her grandfather had instilled that in her, that family is everything. And there's a reason that he believes that as well, because of what happened to him. So, that's important to her, and I tried to balance that with Ryder and his family, because you can feel, yes, family is important. And so and at the end of the story, she's pretty much lost everything, and she's coming in to this group of people that, they just welcome her with open arms, because yes, family is everything. So,
Yes.
I just kind of love to make a circle like that. I love it to start out, she's got that pocket watch of her grandfather's, and then, or I mean, I'm sorry, it's a compass, isn't it?
Right, it's a compass. Yep, it sure
Compass.
is.
Yeah, yeah. And then, at the end, it's family is everything. And so, it's just like balance it out at the end. So that was important to me
Mhm.
because it's the truth.
And oh my goodness, Elizabeth, when you said that, that actually brings me back to one of the lines, in the book where it's talking about the compass, that even though the compass was broken, it
Hmm.
still had purpose and meaning because of some of the things that came with that compass. That was her grandfather's as well. So that was one thing that really caught, my attention. And I want to also lean into writer's grief because he also was dealing with loss. And one of the things that stood out is because Ryder, trust me, guys, he's capable and he's strong, but he's also carrying that loss of his father.
Hmm.
And so, for you, how did you approach that for him as the hero that is shaped by grief? Like some of the things that he's dealing with is shaped by the grief that he's
Right.
dealing.
Well, I can imagine that, he is a former Navy SEAL. He starts the book where he's come out of that, and his job is to protect people and make a way. And then there he is, not able to save his father, and he's there on the scene, but so it's just like, to me, that is an even bigger grief. I mean, it's one thing to lose somebody, but when that's what you make your life about, helping people, saving people, and you can't even save the people closest to you, that's got to really, really tear at you much, much more than just losing someone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Elizabeth, we're going to switch it up a little bit. Okay. I'm going to give you three words, my friend. And I want for
My
you to
favorite
share
part.
with me like what comes to mind. And you don't have to dissect them like word by word. You can actually take them collectively and tell me what comes to mind. So the first set is storm, survival, truth. What comes to mind? Storm, survival, truth. And it can pertain to the book.
So all three words, and I just come up with one word for them.
Uh-huh. Or what, and it could be a phrase that comes to mind when you hear those: storm, survival, and truth.
I don't know, the word blizzard comes to mind, and I don't know why. I'm just like, I'm just being random because I don't know.
Okay. Now I want to ask you this. Let's talk about the escalating danger in the story. The danger that you write, it literally deals with precision. What kind of guides your pacing, when the stakes keep rising, like when you're writing in your
Mhm.
stories? Because that was
Mhm.
one of the things that I like too, about, this story. And also, that it was like a great balance in song and dance of them being in danger and action filled, and then it was like the whole suspense part of it as well. But for you, what guides your pacing, when the stakes keep rising in your stories?
Well, I think it's a lot of it is that I have read so many of these kinds of books that I enjoy, that I've kind of trained myself with that. So it's somewhat instinctual, but also I'm just, I'll read it, and I'll read when I've written the first draft, and I'll go back and I'll think, oh, this is slow. I need to, different places I need to pick up, and I need to ramp things up, and just keep layering and layering and layering until I feel like it's right. It's got to feel, I don't have an outline or anything or any kind of formula. It just has to feel like like it's the right kind of pace and the stakes are there.
Wow. Wow. And I have another 3 word for you. Truth demands courage. What comes to mind for this story? Truth
Oh,
demands courage.
truth demands courage.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't know. Am I supposed to say somebody's name?
Now, okay, when I hear it, I definitely think of Sarah. But
I
again, I
do
mean,
too.
I
No,
don't
that's what I
know.
was thinking. I was thinking Sarah, and I thought, wait a minute, is that what she's wanting from me?
No,
So,
it was
yes.
yeah, but that's literally what came to mind when I read that. I was like, Sarah.
Well, mine too, but I just wasn't sure if that's what you were looking for.
I love it. I love it. And guys, let me just tell you again, I am super duper excited if you're just joining us. We are hanging out with Elizabeth Goddard on today. Her new release, When the Silent, when the, and I just
When the
forgot the
silence
title.
breaks, I'll hold
When
it.
the silence breaks, oh my goodness. It is available now. We will be sharing with you in just a bit how you can get your hands on a copy of When the Silent Breaks as well. And Elizabeth is getting ready to share just a short snippet, enough to wet your whistles. I know you guys are ready for that as well. And so, Elizabeth, I'm going to allow you to kind of set the scene and you can start when you're ready.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm just going to read from chapter 1. It's the opening. It's not the opening scene, it's near the end, but Sarah is making her way to the town of Mercy Ridge, and she feels like someone has followed her, which you mentioned earlier, and she's got skills. So she hides her vehicle in the woods, and she gets her backpack with all of her stuff and just starts hiking in the woods. And she's in for a surprise. So
And
I'll start
Elizabeth,
here.
that's one of the things that I also like about her character as well. Oh yeah, she has skills, okay?
She's got the skills. Yeah, we got to have our
Yes.
strong women with skills. Okay, so it says, and she adjusted her backpack straps. Then she felt it, a slight rumble beneath her boots. She frowned and scanned the ground, searching. Had she imagined it? Unease shivered over her. The earth shifted beneath her feet and suddenly given way with a sickening lurch, crumbling and morphing into liquefied dirt. A scream ripped from Sarah's throat as she was carried away in the muddy gush racing down the slope. Plunging her body toward the river below, the torrent of slurry whipped her side to side like she was a rag doll on a natural water slide. More terrifying was that she had no control over the landing at the bottom. The raging river and the base of the cataract waited to swallow her.
Oh my goodness, guys. There you have it. That is just a little snippet of When the Silence Breaks. And as I said, we'll be sharing with you in just a bit of how you can get your hands on a copy. And Elizabeth, my friend, we have a little bit of rapid fire. And literally, it's the first thing that comes to mind. You don't have to overthink it. It's the first thing that comes to mind. Okay. Are you ready, my friend? All right. First up, what's a mountain survival essential that they would need? A mountain survival essential.
I know the word, but I can't. I mean, I see it in my head, but I can't think what it is. I'm just going to say a tent. How about that?
Okay, you know what? Yes. Okay, look, we got to have a little covering. Okay, all right. Writer in one word.
Formative. I mean,
Okay,
formidable. Formidable.
okay, okay. Stay with me. Stay with me. Sarah in one word.
Well, I did say driven earlier. I'm just going to say determined because that's just the word
Okay,
that comes to mind for her.
okay. Now think of the two together. Writer and Sarah in one word.
Fun.
Oh, okay,
I just thought they're put together. They're
okay,
fun.
okay, okay. Cascade in one word.
Majestic.
Oh, I like that word. I like that word as well. Okay. And last up, we're going to do this or that, but it is this or that, and it's your book edition. Okay. So, protective writer or determined Sarah?
Protective writer.
Oh, okay. Stay or climb? Stay or climb? Oh, yes. And they had to do some climbing. Okay. Logic or instinct? Logic or instinct?
Ooh, that's hard. Instinct.
Okay. Okay, last one. Duty or heart? Duty or
Oh
heart?
gosh, so much conflict here. Duty.
I love that. I love that. Oh my goodness, guys. Let me just tell you, the time goes by so fast of hanging out with Emily Goddard on today. And of course, guys, there is a giveaway. And the giveaway is a copy of When the Silence Breaks. Her publisher is sponsoring a copy of the book. And I'm going to get Elizabeth to assist me on today. And Elizabeth, I'm going to go up and down the comment section. You, my friend, is going to tell me when to stop. And that person will be the winner of a copy of When the Silence Breaks. Are you ready?
Hmm.
Okay, let's see. I am ready let me get everything right. Let's see. Okay, I am ready when you are. And then when you tell me to stop, I will click on that person.
Okay, stop.
Okay. Helen Gibson, you are the winner. And she said, I enjoy reading about a fierce, determined female. I love that. I love it. Thank you so much, Helen. If you will inbox me your information, we'll be sure to get that information out for your copy of When the Silence Breaks as well. And of course, Elizabeth, can you share with us, how can we get our hands on a copy of When the Silence Breaks?
Well, it's sold everywhere books are sold, of course. Amazon and Barnes and Noble and your local bookstores, your local Christian bookstores. You can go to my website, elizabethgoddard.com, and discover also where to buy it, or the Baker Publishing Group website.
And Elizabeth, I'll be sure to put in the comment section as well where they can purchase them a copy of the book as well. And of course, Elizabeth, you have to share with us, how can we stay connected with you, my friend?
Well, elizabethgoddard.com, and I have all the icons for my various social media in the top right corner of the website. I'm on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Goodreads and Pinterest, just a whole list of things. And if you sign up for my newsletter, which is right there on the website, you can also get a free copy of an ebook called Collision Course. And I send out newsletters a few times, like maybe once a week or something like that, and sometimes a big long one in a month, but just keeping my readers informed, because there's so much going on. There's so much news there's so much book news, and there's sales, and there's free ebooks and all kinds of things. So I love to stay connected. So I hope that you will subscribe.
I love that. I love that. And of course, Elizabeth, the last question, when the silence breaks in 3 words.
The truth must come out. And that's more than 3 words, I know.
Yeah, but I love that. And guys, when you read the book, you would totally understand that the truth must come out. Elizabeth, it has been amazing hanging out with you today, and also celebrating your new release as well. And I hope that you have enjoyed yourself, guys. Let me tell you, definitely stay connected with her. Get you a copy of the book. Tell a friend to tell a friend that When the Silence Breaks is available now. Of course, once you read it, definitely leave my friend Elizabeth a review. I know that she would be so appreciative of that as well. And so, Elizabeth, I want to allow you, my friend, to have the last words of what you want to say to our friends today.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and listening. And I hope you learned something about the book, and you'll go out and get a copy or subscribe to my newsletter. And just thank you for being here.
I love that. And guys, and that's our show on today. And as we always say here at the cafe, have an amazing day, because we're having an amazing day. And until next time, we will see you later. And of course, in the meantime, get you a copy of When the Silence Breaks. It's available now. Bye-bye.